Wanted to make a video about what I try to do when I'm really struggling. Someone had written in my last live about reading OCD saying, I'm really struggling, just need to get through a few days before I see my therapist again. And I didn't answer because it was supposed to be about reading OCD, and it's a tough question. I mean, we're pretty much always struggling. So here's what I try to do when I'm struggling. And keep in mind, I'm not a medical professional. I'm a coach. I do emotional support. I hold space. I help you transform. I motivate and I understand. So, yesterday I was struggling. I was checking over and over again. I had brain lock, and so what I try to do when I'm really struggling is I get really conscious of the present moment and I get really conscious of the compulsion. So when I'm locked and I really need to check, I get conscious like of my surroundings, my breathing, and then the urge. And then I start to think, oh, this is an urge coming from my brain overheating. So really understanding the situation uh, is just because it's a disorder. And once you've seen the pictures of, an OCD brain that's just firing 10 times stronger than a normal brain, then you can identify, oh, okay, so I have to do the steps in brain lock to train my brain to calm down. Okay, so once you have the situation totally identified, and let's say you've totally relapsed and you're checking again and again and again, just remember the more you give in, the worse it gets. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, because you get short-term gain. Like it feels kind of good to give in, but it gets worse over time. Oh, hey, Saul. But if you fight it, it feels worse now, but it gets better later. So I try to rip myself out of the urge. So yesterday I was scanning the ground to make sure I didn't leave any belongings. And so I got really conscious of it and I tried to rip myself away from scanning and just accept I might lose something very valuable. I could leave my phone in the middle of rural Spain and I'd be screwed because I'm using my phone right now. Then I try to ignore the distressing thoughts. So if you're really worried about your house burning down and you're checking the stove over and over again, you have to kind of accept that you may be responsible for burning the whole building down, and you have to feel the terrible feelings of having that weight of responsibility, walking away without checking it however many times. So you're trying to ignore the distressing thought. And then also, if it's a mental compulsion, if it's like an urge, if it's almost like an imagination of you want to either cause harm to someone or there's a lot of under harm, whether it's violence or sexual nature. Yeah, everyone's trying to not do compulsions. It's the name of the game. It's really, really hard. So just try to remember you're not your thoughts. I mean, I'm obviously haunted by intrusive thoughts, and it's annoying because it takes so long for them to go away, even if you do the right thing. You could follow cutting edge, psychological treatment for OCD. You could be doing the perfect CBT and ERP, and you're rewarded with pain. So I try to remember I'm not my thoughts. I'm not the intrusive urges. I mean, it's textbook OCD, and it really helps knowing more and more about it. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Everyone here probably has terrible intrusive thoughts. I don't think people follow Free from OCD because they don't have OCD. So we're doing the Brain Lock Challenge and Support Group, which starts in 15 minutes, and we read the introduction of Brain Lock, and one of the main symptoms he says of OCD is intrusive thoughts. So this is the name of the game. I mean, intrusive thoughts are basically obsessions, he says. And if you can really improve obsessions, then all you really have to worry about on compulsions. And as he says in the book, like compulsions are there to alleviate your fear of the obsessions. So he talks about in the book that you can train your brain to get better over time. So it's really exciting. As a coach in this space, it made me feel really good, that even if you can't afford a therapist, you can buy that book for $10 or something, and he has a self-driven plan. The thing is it's really hard. So anyway, that's my video about what I do when I'm struggling, and I wanted to put it out there because I didn't answer the guy in my last live. And just so you know, we have support group in the Facebook group starting in about 15 minutes. So if you want to join that, the link's in my bio. And also right now I'm giving away free 30-minute coaching calls to people who haven't had them yet. So you can send me a DM, and, good luck. Keep in mind, I don't do the medical thing because I'm not qualified, but I've really been helped by coaching, and I've really helped people with coaching. So just want to throw it out there. I'll take one question. What do I do about obsessive thoughts? It's the worst part. Okay, you've been dealing with one obsessive thought for 4 months, and it comes every day. You're kind of lucky if it's only been 4 months. I don't, I don't want to make you feel bad, but people for decades, there was one, I've run a support group for a long time. One man had been dealing with it was asbestos. He was like a landlord, and there was asbestos, and he was really worried one of his tenants would get sick from the asbestos from like 20 years ago. So definitely work on this now. So 20 years from now, we're not talking and you still have the same one. So yeah, it's totally normal to be exhausted. Like our brains are firing like crazy. And I just read the introduction to Brain Lock for the Brain Lock Challenge in the support group. And we're almost all exhausted because we're all up till whatever o'clock washing our hands or ruminating about something. So, RN, I'm not sure what RN is, but will it ever leave? That's, I had some of the best therapy in Canada, and it got me from where I was diagnosed at severe OCD. And then after a year or two of treatment, I was diagnosed within the general population. So you could argue I was cured. And then I was like, okay, it's global lockdowns. I'll move to Spain. So I'm still fighting it. But a lot of people are saying, so I'm not a doctor or a therapist. I don't have the end say on this. But in Brainlock, he says you can treat it to the point where it's just a maintenance issue. And what I've read and understand is you can treat it, but you can't cure it. So you can get it to the point where, you're better at uncertainty than the general population, but you could relapse. And that's my understanding as not a medical professional. Brainlock should work for everything. If you have PRO, it just means that your compulsions are in your mind, as far as I understand. So that's why we're doing the challenge on Brainlock, because I have reading OCD from the last video I mentioned, and I needed a group of people to make me read from the beginning to the end of Brainlock. So you can still join, and it's not too late. We're going to start like chapter 1 tomorrow, because there's like a preface and a foreword and an introduction. So that's what I do when I'm struggling, and it hit me that we're all struggling pretty much all the time, unless you're like really advanced in treatment, and treatment's expensive. I moved, and the therapist I was working with was like, well, you're out of my jurisdiction, I can't help you anymore. So that's why I do my best to give back to the community. Okay, I'll do one more question. This is kind of fun. Okay, sometimes it seems like it's going to stay in my brain forever. Since I live here, I can't receive professional help. Yeah, this is why I do this, is so many people can't get professional help. Right, and you're going to have to read things like Brainlock. I think if we keep doing this, keep doing the reading challenges, we'll do Freedom from Obsessive Compulsive Disorder next. There's a ton of reading. Like, as someone with reading OCD, like, I dread it in a way, but I knew it would be good for me. So anyway, I gotta go because we're starting the support group in about 10 minutes. You can join us there in the Facebook group if you want. We're going to talk about the introduction of Brainlock, so a lot of what we were talking about here. But I wanted to make sure I addressed the guy's question who was struggling. So it is normal. Pretty much all of us are struggling right now. You can rewatch this for what I try to do while I'm struggling, but it's it's hard, and you're kind of it's hard both ways. If you give in, it makes it worse, and if you fight it, you feel worse. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon. Goodbye.